Daylight savings time 2, VGK nothing. More ahead on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco with a reminder that my guest this week on my Believe in Vegas podcast is NASCAR truck driver Zane Smith. That should be available sometimes Thursday afternoon, wherever you get your podcast, along with Chris Kollick. He is the owner of Silver State Sports and Cards and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about VGK. Are they really that good with an empty net and trailing? And is Bruce Cassidy getting a little bit soft? Is he softening up on the VGK? Let's talk first of all about Cassidy's team needing to either change their clocks or to wake up an hour earlier. I know Bruce Cassidy made VGK again talking about their slow starts. He did address it a couple days ago, and another slow start last night. No different in the game in Pittsburgh. VGK had to really rally back in that game from 2 down to Sidney Crosby goals down. And they did it in a good fashion, solid, as they tied it up on a Noah Hanifin clapper with 6.7 seconds to go. Why the slow starts as VGK ties that game at 2 apiece late, and then they never touched the puck in overtime in that period. Erik Karlsson scoring the game winner for the Penguins. I felt as though in watching that replay a couple of times that Jack Eichel left Karlsson on a switch. He went over to guard another player. By the time he returns to Karlsson, game over. That was it.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head. So I didn't tell you, but we're gonna do a little monitor sharing today, and I want to look at graphics on these goals.
Show and tell day. This is great.
Yeah, no. So let's go right to the Eichel goal. That's what you brought up. So
was I right about my assessment there?
I don't know whose coverage it is, number one. So let's just watch, and we'll look for a second. Of course, hit the button.
That's
that
good.
happens.
Yeah,
let's try. There it is, right there. So here's Eichel. You can see him highlighted on with the mouse here. For whatever reason, this is where the gap happens right there. So all 3 players, Eichel and Dorofeev is out there too. Eichel, Dorofeev, and Pietrangelo. All 3 players are just kind of
too many men on the ice right there,
converging. Yeah, they're all celebrating, but yeah. Okay, one more time here. So I don't know if
it's Eichel again.
Eichel's right here with the dot circled. He's on Malkin right now, and then Malkin takes it to the middle and takes all 3 players.
Then, he goes over to cover another man that somebody slacked on. Wow.
So either Eichel blew the coverage, Dorofeev might have been supposed to follow the puck there. I'll look one more time, and then we'll do the other goals while we're here. Either Eichel's supposed to follow and stay in his area of the triangle, or Pietrangelo is supposed to release and kind of do almost like a basketball crossover when there's a screen type of situation.
Yeah,
so it's a blown coverage for all 3 of them. Let's be clear about this.
Absolutely. And Eichel had to go. He tried to compensate there by coming over, sliding to the right, and covering someone else. And then he left Karlsson momentarily. That's all that it took.
And you saw, if you watched Pietrangelo's natural reaction to it, he's kind of waving his hand like kind of confused. I don't know. I think it's more on Eichel, and I think they weren't on the same page, I think, putting it mildly. But real quickly, and we're going to look at the other 2 goals that Sidney Crosby scored. But
37 to 17 shots on goal, that really does stand out.
Yeah, it definitely stands out, but we're hearing in the post game, we're going to talk more about Cassidy later, like he didn't put a major negative spin on the game. He left Samsonov hanging out to dry a little bit, which I find whatever. But watch this first goal here. Like, this is the Crosby goal. This is the first goal of the game. It is a power play, so it's a penalty kill. But Pietrangelo right here in front of Samsonov. Look at Crosby. You have one of the best players in the world. Like Pietrangelo is down here with 17.
I saw it. I was watching the game live. This
player is no danger where Pietrangelo goes. I don't know who 17 is, but 17 is no danger where he is. And look at this lane. Like, That's gonna get through all day.
Was that Raquel? Who was that? Okay, in any event, go ahead.
And then the second goal, really fast, you have another terrible breakdown. It's a face-off. Hurdle's going to lose the face-off. Crosby's going to get the puck. Saad has a chance to create a turnover. Hurdle has a chance. And then everyone's asleep all of a sudden.
Asleep. Oh, my goodness.
Hanifin is trying to clear the net, which I think he did his job, and White Cloud is kind of
change the clocks, okay?
Hanging out there. So
again, three, if you count them, including overtime, lapses by VGK defensively. And Cassidy said we played so much better defensively than we did against the Kings. Well, I mean, anyone would play better. You and I might play better. We could go one.
The goalie's got to stop scrimmaging with beer leaguers.
I was just going to say, I was going to mention beer leaguers. In any event, VGK plays that game without Ivan Barbashev and Brett Howden, both out for personal reasons. Howden's wife, according to my Instagram feed, like that, I know. Howden's wife is giving birth soon, if not already. I haven't checked overnight. And Barbashev's wife could be expecting soon. That was another theory, although nothing really came out about that. The third line was Nick Waugh, Riley Smith, Keegan Colasar, and the fourth line was Pearson, who played 9 minutes, 48 seconds, but not on that line. Cole Schwint played 3:34, and Jonas Ronbjork 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Basically, they rolled three lines. Basically,
Team Henderson didn't necessarily get it done yesterday. Just weird. I mean, yes, the Golden Knights 37-17. Did you say, was that the number when the dust settled for the shots on goal?
I just read off the screen.
The high danger chances, which are a little more telling, Golden Knights 12, which is pretty standard, and they gave up 8. So the concerning factor for me is in 17 shots given up, 8 of them were logged, according to Natural Stat Trick, as high danger chances. So yes, they did a good job limiting the opportunities that Samsonov had to work with, but they're still giving up a high frequency of high dangers. And people just on social have been knocking Samsonov down. Cassidy's first comment in the presser, their goalie was better than ours, which I take that with a grain of salt. Jari was really good yesterday. He was really good yesterday.
Were really good. I thought they both were really good.
Samsonov was fine. I mean, you watch that last goal he gave up. It was his best Robin Leonard staring at a hot dog in the stands impression. A little bit better, but not much. But when Cassidy starts the presser like that, you really think Samsonov had a really bad game, and he didn't. It wasn't a good game, but it wasn't a bad game. Did Samson? I mean, again, the simplest metric that's out there for a goaltender: did the goalie give the team a chance to win? Yes or no? That's it. Yes or no? Samsonov gave the Golden Knights a chance to win, and Jari was really good too. So you could chalk up a bit to a hot goalie, fine. You can chalk it up to a strange lineup which was basically 3.5 lines all night. I'm fine with that as well. But in the same breath, it's still the Pittsburgh Penguins, the last team in the Metro that the Golden Knights just shut out a couple nights ago. It's a sleepy start. It's a lot of things that you definitely don't like to see, as it seemed like it was all systems go not too long ago. And then all of a sudden Sunday and Tuesday happened, and now all of a sudden you start to wonder about this Golden Knights team down the stretch a little bit. And that's normal. This is going to happen this time of year. There's going to be questions when the team loses. If they can bounce back for the rest of the road trip, then it's water under the bridge, right?
Yeah, and VGK losing ground to the Kings, as the Kings now just 5 points back, and LA also now again loading up with the home games since they started with their first 7 on the road. The Kings now also closing in on Edmonton for second place. Back to that goalie battle, I thought it was pretty strong, and a lot of really terrific saves by both goaltenders, and each goalie stopping a wraparound attempt. Jerry now 5-2 against the Golden Knights lifetime. He robbed Tomas Hertl as he did the wraparound, and Jerry stopped the puck with his left leg, with his left pad. And then Samsonov had a right pad save on Evgeny Malkin's approach on the wraparound, and those were 2 sensational saves. So I don't know, like I thought that Samsonov, you like that? I thought that Samsonov really was good. He was on for the most part. And when you showed, again, those little dots skating around the ice, I mean, it wasn't his fault so much if there's defensive breakdowns. But the one thing I think that Cassidy did like was the compete level was up for the Vegas Golden Knights. You and I, okay, so you took Pittsburgh yesterday, so kudos to you. I said this game would go into overtime. I should have taken a shot at Pittsburgh. I said VGK would win, but I said it would go into overtime. But we both said, this is not going to be the same game that we saw 4 days ago.
No.
And we were correct on that assessment. And then also,
that was before the injuries too. Let's be fair. We did our pregame at this time 6 a.m. yesterday before the Barbashev and Howden news.
Those are injuries?
No, they're personal. It was personal, but fine. Okay. But point being is, it would have been a lot easier for us to come out and say half hour before the game, once they show warm-ups, they're not out there. Oh, yeah, Pittsburgh's going to win. I'm saying that was our perspective going into it. Just want to make sure for transparency, because people would prefer to sometimes knock us down for that. That's all.
Oh, of course. Well, they'll knock us down for anything. But, yeah, we both sort of predicted that it would be a 1-point game, perhaps, for VGK. Jack Eichel, 78 points now, as he ties the franchise record for points with 78, 20 goals, 58 assists. And this is Eichel when he's healthy. And let's face it, like, he's had a terrific season. But again, lucky that he's healthy. And I don't know, is he still lagging a little bit? I hate to say this, but is he lagging still a tad from Four Nations?
I mean, I think now it's more or less just simply it's game 63 of the regular season, and anyone who's played most of the season, whether you were in the Four Nations or otherwise, anyone is lagging right now. The Four Nations break is past. Now everyone's back into the mix here. But I mean, I don't know, Tony. This could be a tough sell for me. This is Eichel, right? Okay, it's gonna be a tough sell for me to say Eichel's lagging. Considering he's got a point streak of 6 games right now. He scored last game 1 going backwards, 1-2, 1-1, 2-1. So he's gonna, if you're the betting type, bet him to get a point Thursday.
Does it look like he's lagging a little bit though? At times, laboring? I don't know.
Laboring, no. Is there a little bit of fatigue? Sure. I mean, we talked, I think, offline about how red he was the other night and stuff. I don't know.
His face was bright red.
Point being is that everyone is going to be showing wear and tear. And to Eichel's credit, I think he's missed 1 game this year due to sickness. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. So this is by far his healthiest season, I think, going back to pre-COVID. And again, knock on wood, this continues, because if Eichel goes down, this team is absolutely screwed right now.
Absolutely.
But I think this is his healthiest season in a long time. Let me pull up his hockey DB. All right, so Eichel right now in 22-23, the Stanley Cup year, he had 67 appearances. Obviously, if all goes well, Eichel is trending for 81 games right now. Maybe something might happen down the stretch. Hopefully, nothing major. But point being is that his last time he was at 68 games was 1920. 77 games in 18-19, and then his first season he played 81 of 82 games in his rookie season for the Buffalo Sabres. So this is looking to be his healthiest season since his rookie campaign, and it's pretty nice when he's on the ice. It's pretty nice when Jack Eichel is out there.
Coming up next, are the Golden Knights really that good on the 6-on-5 with an empty net and trailing in a game? We'll get to that as we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you have a first $5 winning bet. That's right, $200 extra bucks. You can use this on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who is cutting down the nets. I am going to keep an eye in this tournament on a team called High Point. High Point, like, they loaded up with all of these top players from different major schools because they have a lot of cash there, NIL money. So watch them. Keep an eye out as, again, the bracket comes out on Sunday. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, like High Point, and FanDuel makes it easier to back them up with point spreads, totals, and game props. Stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every day. Oh my goodness, this is March or March-so madness. Used to be March-so madness around here. There's always something exciting to bet on at FanDuel. The FanDuel app is so simple to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. There is no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Again, find us wherever you get your podcast, and please make sure, again, to check out everything, our YouTube channel, Fridays WTF. Sometimes we've got the Chris and Chris Jr. show on Saturdays. Everyone post-game except for Megan Bozak. She wasn't on the broadcast because she was critical, I'm sure. The other night, you're eliminated. Everyone was talking about VGK's success, Chris. Why are your eyes so wide?
I was sure you were going with that.
Yeah, me neither. Everyone talking about VGK's success on the 6-on-5 late in games. Are there any numbers to support the strength of VGK with the man advantage late in an empty net and trailing in a game? Are there any numbers to support that? Because post-game, everyone was talking about it when they were on the ice. Again, state run, just nothing but kudos for VGK with a 6-on-5 towards the end of that game in regulation.
There's two key statistics as far as when your team is trailing and having an empty net. For perspective, the best team, the team that has scored the most goals with the net empty and trailing, are the San Jose Sharks, also because they're trailing in nearly every game they play down the stretch, so they're going to have the most opportunities.
Did you see that video of man versus shark? The guy was trying to fight the mascot. I posted it. It's on my
shark. You good? Someone. Never mind.
Someone was trying to fight the shark.
I mean, I like shark.
I've heard of jumping the shark.
I don't throw a fighting.
Okay.
All right. So the Sharks have scored 13, given up 15. The next closest teams are the Jets and the Kraken, 9 apiece. Anaheim and a few other teams at 8. The Golden Knights have scored 6 times with an empty net and trailing in hockey games. They've also given up 5 goals. Now, that ranks 9th or tied for down to 12th, actually, with the Golden Knights, Oilers, Stars, and Blues. So when you look at it like that, they're kind of mid. And let's also make sure we're clear that the Golden Knights have scored empty net goals while trailing in succession in the last 2 games. So this number would actually be 4-6, or no, 3. No, it would be 4-6 if it were the other way, or 4-5. Pardon me. So credit the Golden Knights to getting a couple late goals and obviously making the last couple of games interesting. Now, when you look at the percentage, the goals for percentage with the net empty and trailing in a game, the Golden Knights are actually number 1. They are 6-5. They're the only team that is over 50%. They are 54.5%. Anaheim, 47%, 47.06. Sharks, 46.43. Oilers, 46.15. Again, if you take the last 2 games away, the Golden Knights would be under that 50% marker, closer around the 45, 46% range of San Jose and Edmonton. So are they doing better? Yes. Their goals for percentage is the best in the NHL. So again, it's hard not to say they're not doing well with the net is empty, but a little bit of this is some recency bias. Let's see if it keeps up. And I mean, hopefully this is a stat that doesn't change the rest of the year, because that means the Golden Knights aren't playing as often with the empty net. The Golden Knights have only given up 5 goals in the same circumstance as well. Comparatively speaking, some other teams who have given up a lot of goals, the Buffalo Sabres have given up 21. The Avalanche have given up 19. Preds 18. Islanders, Penguins, Kraken, Leafs, Panthers, Flyers, all 17. So that's a look around all of that.
I liked Bruce Cassidy explaining the way VGK plays on the 6-on-5. And if you watch that with your little dots and all, he adds that extra skater. He puts 2 players in the bumper position so that they do have that net front presence. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So watch that again a little bit closer. And he said the team has been very good on puck retrieval, puck recovery. So that has led to their success. And you should be able to get a loose puck, right, and win those puck battles if you have an extra skater. Makes sense. But 2 players in the bumper is pretty interesting.
Theoretically, yes. No, I mean, here's the goal right here, right?
Hertl was in front.
Yeah, so you got Hertl right in front. He doesn't move, which is fine. Hanifin's got the puck up high.
That's a hell of a screen there by Hertl. Holy cow.
Yeah, and honestly, Hertl's the only one there in this moment right now. Hertl was the only one there. Everyone else was kind of on the elbows and I think waiting for a late rebound. But I mean, you got Hertl and Saad, 2 big bodies out there. And basically, they're trying to set up what I think the initial play, honestly, they wanted to go down low to Eichel and get it to Saad in the bumper position, but Saad was blocked, so we went to the secondary option. Hanifin and around and Hanifin just basically let it go there. So, yeah, you saw Cassidy in the what's it called in the
presser,
or no, not in the presser, no, right before they called a timeout with the net empty, and you saw him just waving his arms on the bench. I don't know if anyone else caught that. I think he was letting the players on the bench have it there, and maybe you better score a goal, or it's going to be ugly tomorrow in practice. If they're even going to skate today, who knows? But
at first, Erik Karlsson looked as though he was so loose. I thought that they made another mistake on a line change. I did. We were watching that, but they did not. But again,
you saw the overtime goal.
Yeah, they lost coverage. They just basically lost coverage.
Yeah, and also the Golden Knights stayed for a second too to make sure there wasn't offsides. That was another thing. I mean, it looked like for a minute there might be a challenge or a review or something, and unfortunately, that never happened. So, yeah.
Coming up next is Bruce Cassidy softening up.
Yes.
We'll get to that as we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Ever check your bank account and wonder, well, we all do, where did all my money go? Between dining out, that can get expensive here in Vegas, online shopping, ditto, and entertainment, it is so easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Surprising insights. When I started to use Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. And easy collaborations. Of course, managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without any stress. So take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for half off on your first year. Again, 50% off on your first year at monarchmoney.com. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. I was at the alma mater, the Lady Rebels basketball game last night over at the Thomas & Mack Center. They lost, so no telling if they'll get an at-large bid. But best of luck to them, of course, this weekend and the bracketing and all that, as they lost in the quarterfinals. And the head coach said a bad word last night. She did, Lindy LaRock, afterwards when she was asked about fatigue. And she was like, we were going for a 4th blanket title, okay? And a lot goes into that. And these kids have poured everything into it. So in any event, don't forget Fridays, WTF, Saturdays on Air Show. And that was a good lead in to WTF, right? Because we say some bad words on that show. And then Saturday, sometimes the Chris Times Chris Jr. show. Bruce Cassidy, psychologist. He has softened up on his team. he was swaying back and forth an awful lot last night. I'm always suspicious about what his mood is when he starts to do that. Has Cassidy really softened on this team? Because that was a good situation. And as we saw those breakdowns to give his team a tongue lashing, he decided to go after, he's never really happy with his goalies, is he?
I don't know. There's a lot to unpack right now. I think I'll start by a positive. When Riley Smith was traded back to the Golden Knights, Cassidy talked about what it's like going through a trade and such, and talking about the familiarity and stuff like that. And he also was able to reference Smith's family, and he just talked about other players' families, and like specifically how many, I forgot the exact way it went, but my point being is that Cassidy knows his players off the ice. I think he's one of those coaches that takes an interest in their personal lives. I'm sure all coaches don't do that. I'm not saying it's necessarily makes it better than other coaches, but Cassidy, I think, knows these players off the ice and tries to make it a family type of environment. Cassidy also, going back to the Kings game, he took a lot of the blame. And this isn't the first time we've heard Cassidy do this. We as coaches need to make sure the team is ready to go when the puck drops. They weren't ready. That's on us. We'll fix it. And if we had $1 for every time Cassidy said that over the last 3 seasons, now you'd have about probably $38 right now. It's something he says a lot. And it's not that he's necessarily saying the team wasn't ready to play. And he's just he's deflecting the blame away from the team and onto himself. He doesn't want, the media, not that you're going to get a whole lot of, questions about it, but, he doesn't want the media beating on the team and stuff like that. He wants the blame on him. Last night, starting with the goalie comments, I don't know if that was as much of a shot at Samsonov as it seemed like it was intended to be. Unfortunately, the fan base took that as just hang Samsonov out to dry, which I think is a little bit unjust right now.
I thought he was crediting more or less, Perry there than the other side.
Yeah, but when you start the presser like that and don't offer any context, or at least give Samsonov an attaboy somewhere in there, like that's a concern. And when you watch the lapses that the Golden Knights, this is what gets me. When you watch the lapses that the Golden Knights had last night, and we're talking star players, we're talking Eichel, we're talking Pietrangelo, we're talking Hurdle out there. We're talking the best players on the Vegas Golden Knights had a bad game last night in key moments, and credit that pretty good player on the other side, Sidney Crosby, for knowing where to go and how to take advantage of it. That certainly is an equalizer to a bit here, but these breakdowns, in my opinion, in game 63 of the regular season are absolutely inexcusable. It's going to happen every now and then, fine. But when you watch what happened against the Kings, giving up 6 goals, and all 6 goals with the goalie in the net, giving up 6 goals in the worst puck management game of the year, Coach Cassidy's words, not mine. And then you watch the lapses that a pretty good Golden Knights team had against a pretty bad Pittsburgh Penguins team, simply scrambling to ice a roster because they've had a ton of trades lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they seem to be stabilized, in that game. I think I said Perry.
And they beat Minnesota on Sunday, so credit them for playing well right now.
They came back and they got things sorted out, and the players just didn't have a chance to practice with, a new lineup, essentially. So then they did, and all that. And, the only thing that I thought he softened up on was just, I think for the most part, Bruce Cassidy postgame was just comparing the way VGK had just played against the Kings and their effort level against Pittsburgh. So
anything's better than that Kings game, but sure.
I know. But he also said he liked the compete level. He thought that the defense was much better. And if he watches those dancing dots, man, he's going to be like, whoa, we didn't play very well on those goals, did we?
Cassidy talks about, again, something else I've heard him say a lot. He talks about in the post game his immediate raw reaction. And then he mentions, we'll see if the analytics supports. And while the high danger chances favor the Golden Knights, I wonder when he does take that, when he peels a few layers back of the onion, that was the loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime. I wonder if he'll have maybe a change of hearts. I mean, from the bench, I'm sure it looked better. Again, his immediate recency bias is going to be against the Los Angeles Kings. Anything seems better than that game. So I think that was part of it. Were the Golden Knights better than they were against the Kings? Okay, fine. I'll definitely give Coach that all day, 100%. 37 shots on goal, but only 12 high dangers, while giving up nearly a 50% high danger. I guess you can have a high danger that doesn't register as a shot on goal, but you ultimately know where I'm going with that. Is the Golden Knights gave out a lot of high dangers despite only giving up 17 shots. So I don't know. I mean, was the game maybe as bad as the picture we're painting? I don't know if it was maybe that bad. Maybe I'm going a little bit over the edge, but
no, just 3 breakdowns. That was it.
Well, and we're reacting based on what we saw on Sunday, where the Golden Knights had probably about 15 breakdowns, so you want to look at it better like that. And I guess Columbus, team that beat the Golden Knights last time in Vegas, right?
Yeah. And you forgot to mention the long flight. You forgot to mention that. You forgot to mention the time.
Long flights. It's a one travel day. A lot of times team gets 2 travel days when they do that.
You forgot to mention the time change.
At least Cassidy didn't mention any of that. Cassidy didn't make any excuses.
He talked about the long flight. He did.
He did really?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right, my bad.
They always have to talk about that, but the lead-in question always takes him there. Enough said. Enough. And
said. The lead-in question, Cassidy was pretty quick. Their goalie was better. Next question.
We appreciate everyone tuning in. We will never soften up, by the way, on this show. We appreciate you tuning in wherever you are at, especially our everydayers. Don't forget, on Fridays, it's WTF Day. And get your comments already lined up, because it's always a ton of fun. Someone was ripping the fact that why did VGK send out Tanner Pearson for the post-game interview when they should have one of the players that was on the ice?
Because he every now and then VGK sends out the sacrificial lamb.
The PTO guy. It's you.
Yeah, no, send out the sacrificial lamb because Mark Stone's been doing enough of these interviews lately, and you probably don't want to hear from Mark Stone.
I know, but good thing was I went to Sprouts and he wasn't there to take a selfie with me yesterday.
It was William Karlsson. William Karlsson wasn't there either. He was with the team. He's in a red.
Is he with the team? Do you think
he's with the team? They showed him. Yeah, he's with the team.
Oh, they did.
He was on the ice in Pittsburgh skating. He's still in the non-contact though.
Okay, so he's going to play this weekend, right?
I will handicap it as playing the second leg of the back-to-back. That Detroit on Sunday?
Yes, on Sunday.
We've seen that happen before where they don't roll the player out in a back-to-back.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. Please take care.